The Pathfinder panel in InDesign allows for many things. I've built this document to illustrate what each of the buttons in Pathfinder will do. So let's start by zooming in with Command plus or Control plus, and we'll go to the top row to the joining features. Under the Window menu, Object and Layout, you'll find Pathfinder. And I tend to like to dock a line in Pathfinder over to my panels so they're always available. We'll start by selecting these two line segments. I just dragged across them to Marquee Select, and you'll see they are not connected. But when I drag across in the Pathfinder panel in Paths, with one click, I could join them, and InDesign connected the top. If I select this next piece that says Open Path, this will actually leave one end of it open, kind of like a container where you could just pull open a box. I'll click once, and it highlights in blue and even switched to the Direct Selection tool for me, the end that is open. So now I can move these two pieces apart, and it's not connected or filled there. I'll go back to my Selection tool and click on the Close Path piece and hit the Close Path button. And now I've got a complete rectangle that is closed and can be filled or stroked. I can't tell you how many times I've drawn an arrowhead in the wrong direction, so if that happens when I add an arrowhead, which I did through the Stroke panel, I chose where the arrowhead goes, the Pathfinder panel will let you reverse the direction of the path, putting the arrowhead pointing down instead of pointing left. You can also see in the Stroke panel that I could switch my start and end position, but that's several mouse clicks. I find it much easier in Pathfinder just to hit reverse. Now I'll scroll down a bit, and I've got overlapping shapes. The blue is the topmost object, the black is the bottommost. So I'll Marquee Select, just touching each piece of these two, and I'll try the first, Pathfinder Add. So it builds one united shape as if this was drawn as one piece. There are no longer two. They are selectable and editable as one piece. If I select the two below Subtract and hit the second button to subtract, it subtracted the frontmost object, taking away the blue, leaving the black, which was the object in the back, giving you almost a pie cutout or a waning moon, for example. I'll select the Intersect, and it's going to keep the overlap portion. So if I hit Intersect, you'll see I get just that little crescent shape where the two overlapped. For the Exclude, I'll select these two, and it's going to exclude where they overlap. So basically cutting a little donut hole here in between and getting two semicircles touching. And then finally, I'll select Minus Back and choose the minus back, so it subtracted the backmost object from the front blue. Another interesting thing you could do is I have two independent text frames here. I can use my Shift key to select both, or I can Marquee Select both. And if I click Add, it builds one irregular shaped text frame. I could see that by double-clicking on the inside and choosing Type, Fill with Placeholder Text. And now it poured into that irregular text frame. Now these last stars I simply drew with the Polygon tool. Underneath your Rectangle tool or your Rectangle Frame tool, you could choose the polygon and double-click and give it a certain number of sides. I did 5 sides with a 50% inset, and I got these star shapes. But I wanted to show you, once you've got a shape, InDesign can convert it to many other style shapes. Oh, and in fact, this object was selected when I set that 5 and 50% inset, so I'll undo the polygon shape there. And I'll start with this first star, and I'll convert it to a rectangle. I'll select the next one, convert it to a rounded rectangle. The third one, a beveled rectangle. The fourth one, inverse rounded rectangle. So it doesn't matter what you start with. You can convert to any one of the shapes on the Pathfinder panel. The last being a triangle, and then a polygon. but this is technically already a polygon, so it's not going to change the shape. I could double click on the polygon tool and change the values and click OK, and it adjusts this based on whatever the polygon tool settings are. I'll go back to my selection tool, and then the last would make just a straight line. In this case, the line has a black fill and no stroke, so I'll swap my fill and stroke and you could see the line. I'll select the last one, and this converts it to a vertical or horizontal line. So straight horizontal or straight vertical, and again in my tools I'll hit swap fill and stroke so you could see that line kick in. Lastly, I have some examples of how you can modify individual points to change the shape of a drawn path. So if I go to my direct selection tool and click on the bottom middle anchor, if I click on the convert point, this makes it a plain corner with no handles. So the roundness here and here will disappear. So one click, I've got a hard corner, and that looks more like a heart. If I click the anchor on this next point, as I move up or down, both sides are connected or symmetrical. So if I choose the corner option, when I hit corner, I can pull this side in to make a crescent moon shape. I'll click on the bottom anchor and hit corner as well, giving me independent direction handles, and now I've got the moon shape that I was going for. On this shape, I actually have a middle point so I could get kind of a flat heart that you'll see here. So if I click this, this is already a corner point. It has no handles to indicate a curve. If I click smooth, it changes that to a round curve. I'll click the opposite side and hit smooth. And I could stretch each side of these to make the handles give this more of a heart shape. There we have it. On the last triangle, it makes smooth with symmetrical, equal length direction lines. So this top half and bottom half are the same length. I'll click here, and it will do the same thing. They may not be the same length on the left and right side. In fact, you'll see this is longer, but they are both proportional. And if I drag, I can still manipulate either side if I want to reshape them. So that is your full tour of what all of the buttons do on the Pathfinder panel. Work through this exercise on your own and take some time to play with these files to see what each button will do to your selected shape.